Welcome to Mid-Century Living, your weekly nostalgia podcast about the best of technology and culture from the mid-20th century.
Welcome back to Mid-Century Living, the show where we talk all about the best of the mid-20th century and how to add the vintage vibes to your modern life. We're your hosts, Gonzalo.
And Jackie, thank you for joining us today. It is our first episode in October, so it's the start of our spooky mid-century series. Today we're talking about the Munsters. If you'd like to skip ahead to the topic we're covering today, we have a timestamp in our notes, or you can check out our new chapter links in the episode. But first, Gonzalo, how was your week?
My week was fine, I guess. Couple of weeks ago when we recorded, we talked about how old I was and how my back hurt, and literally nothing has changed.
Your back still hurts and you're still old?
I'm still sitting on a warming pad.
Oh, man.
And I've been taking that to work. And then during lunch, when there's no kids in the classroom, I sit down on the floor on my warming pad.
Aww.
Yeah, and then it's usually fine. Like I have a 90% of the day, I'm good, and then the extra other 10% is when it hurts like hell. But no, it's been hurting. On was it Tuesday this week, I couldn't walk. I was just like, nope, not gonna happen. So finally got a doctor's appointment tomorrow. No, not tomorrow. Day after, Monday.
I'm sorry your back still hurts.
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone's really excited for the thrilling conclusion of the story in the next couple of weeks.
Stay tuned, guys. I'll let you know. But how was your week?
It was good. Mainly, I think I also have some follow-up to my weekly catch-up because, as I mentioned before, and now that it's October, we are fully in pumpkin season, which means that my life gets a little bit worse when I go to Trader Joe's because Trader Joe's is basically where I do, I'd say, 80% of my grocery shopping. And so I'm there every weekend. And normally it's lovely to shop there, pretty much as long as you're in there before noon. It's just pretty empty and everyone's really nice and no one cuts in front of you and it's not hard to get parking. It might just be that I have a particularly good location or maybe because I shop early and I'm there with the old people. It's normally not that bad. But from September 15th through January 1st, all of the tourists come out and all these people who are not normally shopping at Trader Joe's are there at Trader Joe's taking my good parking spots and cutting in front of me in line and stopping in the middle of the aisle to just look around. And it's the worst ever. So now I have to rope drop Trader Joe's at 8 a.m. like a crazy person so I can shop without people there. And it's just a struggle. So
I hate the people who leave their carts in the middle of the aisle. There was a lady yesterday at the grocery store who was doing that, and then on top of that, she had a kid. I'm very bad at guessing ages. I'm like that one girl from Too Scared Didn't Watch.
So where everyone is 8.
Yeah, he's 8. Anyway, he kept running around the grocery store. I'm like, lady, control your child. Mm-hmm. But also, last weekend we were at Costco, and I was pushing my little cart around. Well, my big cart because it's Costco. And at one point, I left it in the middle of the aisle to go get something, and I walk back and I go, "Oh no, I'm that guy." my wife's like, "Yeah."
I don't know. I feel like I'm very respectful, and that's the thing is you have to wait in line to get to the carrots sometimes. And I don't cut in front of people. If somebody's in front of the cauliflower and I need cauliflower, I can wait until they pick up whatever they're picking up and move forward. I'm at a line at a buffet. That's how I shop. I'm not in so much of a hurry that I can't wait 2 seconds for them to finish inspecting all the cauliflower heads, you know? Mm-hmm. Anyway, so now it just means that I have to shop earlier and earlier in the day so I can get through the holiday season.
Yeah. It's a
I'm a little salty this morning because we're recording at 6 a.m. So sorry, everybody, if it was a little bit more of an aggressive weekly catch-up.
And that's my fault, everyone. I'm making her wake up early and then go through tech issues at 6 o'clock in the morning. But you know what will make it fun?
Some sitcoms?
Yes, some sitcoms. I was gonna try to make a fun Munsters joke, but that works better.
Yeah, watching some sitcoms will cheer anybody up. So I guess we should start with the basic premise. So the Munsters are a Transylvanian American family living at 1313 Mockingbird Lane in the fictional city of Mockingbird Heights. The running gag of the show is that this is a family of literal monsters, but they consider themselves to be just the average American family. The show satirized the typical family sitcom formula of the era: the well meaning father, the nurturing mother, the eccentric live in relative, the naive teenager, and the precocious child. The show also referenced several real sitcoms, including Father Knows Best and The Donna Reed Show. Al Lewis, the actor who played Grandpa, explained in an interview in 1964, quote, "We can do a lot of satirical, pointed things on society that you couldn't do in an ordinary show. Philosophically, the format is that in spite of the way people look to you physically, underneath there's a heart of gold."
Aw.
Isn't that sweet?
Yeah.
Other than Marilyn, more on her later, the characters' costumes and appearances were based on the classic monsters of Universal Studios films of the 1930s and 40s. Since Universal jointly produced the Munsters, the show was able to use their copyrighted designs. Fun fact, most of the iconic monster looks we know today were created by makeup artist Jack Pierce. He's best remembered for creating the iconic makeup worn by Boris Karloff in Frankenstein in 1931, which was directly used for Herman Munster's look in this TV show, but more on that later.
I love how he like created Frankenstein's monster, and that's the standard for Frankenstein. Which, by the way, Frankenstein is not the monster.
No.
Everyone out there, I know we're in spooky season, and we're gonna start putting on costumes. And I'm going on a tangent here, but it's Frankenstein's monster.
Yes.
Anyway, I digress. Please continue.
Yes, Frankenstein was the scientist. Definitely correct anyone you hear saying it wrong. You'll be invited to a lot of Halloween parties that way.
You won't.
So the makeup in the Munsters was actually credited to Bud Westmore, who pioneered many other makeup effects and designs for Universal Monsters after Pierce. So they got actually legitimate movie makeup people creating these looks.
Nice.
The regular cast of the show included Fred Gwynne as Herman Munster, Yvonne DiCarlo as Lily Munster, Al Lewis as Grandpa, Butch Patrick as Eddie, and Beverly Owen as Marilyn from episodes 1 through 13, and then Pat Priest takes over from episodes 14 through 70. And we'll learn more about these characters later, but first let's talk a little bit about the development of the series itself.
Best part ever, the history, of course. So put on my history hat and begin by telling you all that the rumor is that the origins of the Munsters go as far back as 1943.
Which is not very far back by our standards. Usually when we have you take over the history section, it's like in 1901.
Either that or it's like back in the Neolithic era. Anyways, Bob Clampett, who's an animator famous for his work on Looney Tunes, came up with an idea for an animated TV series he called The Monster Family, with an O. By 1945, he had the premise fully developed. The ideas were supposedly taken to Universal Studios, but Clampett never heard from them again. The Monster TV series, that's the Monster with a U, that we know and love today, was actually developed 20 years later. The initial idea was submitted by Chris Hayward and Alan Burns, the writers who worked on the adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle. Joe Connolly and Bob Mosher, the creative team behind Leave It to Beaver, got the script Hayward and Burns turned in. Norm Liebman and Ed Haas were hired to develop the show, with Connolly and Mosher in charge. Now, the result of all this collaboration was the Monster pilot, called My Fair Monster with the U. Fred Gwynne, Al Lewis, and Beverly Owen were in the pilot, and as we mentioned before, they stayed in their roles moving forward. But there's some differences between the pilot and the rest of the series. So Joan Marshall played Herman's wife, and her name was Phoebe instead of Lily, and an actor named Happy, Nate Derman, played Eddie. The pilot was actually filmed in color, but it had to be changed to black and white for distribution before CBS would buy the show. The second pilot was ordered in April 1964, with Yvonne DiCarlo replacing Marshall, and the character renamed Lily. And in the third pilot, Derman was replaced by Butch Patrick. 3 pilots.
Yep.
Oh, here are some quick production facts. The original series only ran for 2 seasons, from 64 to 66, and each episode was filmed with only 1 camera. What, are they like tight on a budget?
I don't know. I guess they just didn't need more than one.
Oh.
They weren't filming in front of a studio audience, so they could just stop recording and move the camera.
That's true. 1 episode was filmed per week, with 38 the first season and 32 the second season. During its first season, it garnered 18th place in ratings, and in 1965, it was nominated for a Golden Globe for Best TV Show. Jack Marshall was also nominated for a Grammy for Best Instrumental Composition, other than jazz, for the Munsters theme song, which is a great song. It's been stuck in my head all week, since I realized that we were doing this episode.
You're welcome.
Yeah. The show was canceled after the second season, and the last episode aired on May 12th, 1966.
But almost immediately after the show ended, the Munsters graced the big screen for the first time with a color film starring most of the original cast, called Munster Go Home, which came out in 1966. Munster Go Home follows the family as Herman learns that he's inherited a manor house and a lordship in England. When the Munsters head over across the pond, other distant relatives are plotting to kill Herman so that they can usurp the land and title, and hilarity ensues.
How come I've never heard of this?
There's actually a ton of reboot attempts, but they're all actually outside the mid-century time frame, so we will tell you more about those at the end of the episode.
Cool. So now let's get to talk about the Munsters, like the family. So Herman Munster, the head of the household, was a tall, gaunt, cadaverish, and in his 150s. Herman's look is a slightly sillier version of Frankenstein's monster developed by Jack Pierce for the 1931 Universal film Frankenstein. He has a flat, square head, a jagged scar on his forehead, ill-fitting clothes, darkly ringed eyes, and bolt in his neck, but he is a gentle soul. Most people flee in terror when they see him, but Herman always attributes it to something else. In the context of the series, Herman was created in 1815 at the University of Heidelberg by Dr. Victor Frankenstein, and he has a twin brother, Charlie. At some point, Herman moved to Transylvania where he met Lily Dracula. In 1865, Herman married Lily, and eventually the couple and Grandpa, Lily's father, moved to America. Herman is a lovable, good-natured, and clumsy. He is a caring father to his son Eddie and a loving, devoted husband. He is very kind to everyone, but he is also very naive, often misunderstanding situations or falling for various schemes.
So Lily Munster is the matriarch of the Munster family. She's a beautiful lady vampire, almost as pretty as the day she died. Lily usually dresses in an ankle-length pale pink gown and wears a bat-shaped necklace. Later incarnations of the character, played by different actresses, would change her skin from green to pale white. She also has a white streak in her hair that was very pronounced at the beginning of the series but got more subdued as the series went on. She has a brother, the Wolfman, and a sister who is Marilyn's mother. Lily is the voice of reason in the Munster household, often relied upon to set problems right, and typically mediates when Herman and Grandpa squabble. Lily is very supportive of her son Eddie and keeps a close eye on his activities and social circle. Lily's mainly a housewife, and her duties include spreading garbage around the house and dusting with a vacuum cleaner operating in reverse so that it actually blows dust around. During the course of the series, Lily had several part-time jobs that never seemed to stick, including working as a welder in a shipyard, working as a fashion model, and working as a palm reader in a tea room.
I love that she's doing all the mid-century housewife stuff, but in reverse.
Like backwards, yeah.
Which I guess is kind of the theme of the show.
Yeah, that's the joke.
Well, good job, writers. I got it. Next up is Grandpa. He's a doting, irritable, and sarcastic father of Lily Munster. He's a great practical joker, but time has dimmed his memory. A running gag in the series is his extreme age. In the episode Grandpa's Lost Wife, Grandpa declares his age as 378 years, which means his date of birth was sometime in 1588. Grandpa talks of having personally known various figures throughout history, including Nero, King Arthur, Richard the Lionheart, and Jack the Ripper, and says that he has been married 167 times. And although his wives are all dead, he still keeps in touch with them.
So next is Marilyn Munster, who is Lily's niece, although her surname is Munster. She attends Westbury College in Mockingbird Heights, the city where the Munsters live. Like the rest of her family, she believes that the Munsters' appearance and lifestyle are totally normal. She's considered attractive by outsiders, but by the aesthetic standards of her family, she is unattractive. And they just talk about how her looks are so unfortunate, and it's pretty funny. Marilyn is actually the only family member whose appearance does not shock or disturb people outside the family. But the Munster family is all very protective of Marilyn. A main recurring bit in the show is that Marilyn thinks she keeps scaring away potential boyfriends, not realizing that all the boys are actually frightened away by her family.
Oh. Yeah, she's the only one who, like, quote, looks normal when compared to the Munsters. Lastly, we have Eddie Munster. Now, Eddie seems to be like half vampire, half werewolf. He's a typical boy, apart from being half vampire, half werewolf. He's very proud of his father, repeatedly bragging about Herman's abilities. And a recurring bit in the series is that Eddie volunteers Herman for things which are clearly beyond Herman's capabilities, but Herman goes through it with it anyway for Eddie's sake. When asked how he was selected for the role of Eddie, Patrick said, "I had a lot of experience, but maybe it was because my fangs were my own teeth. My teeth were so bad that even when I closed my mouth, they stuck out. I was about a head smaller than the other kids, and they liked that because it played off Herman's height." It's a very big insight for a kid to have about casting.
Yeah. It's so funny that his fangs were his real teeth.
Yeah.
It's like, it was probably because I was so talented, but maybe it was because my teeth stuck out when my mouth was closed.
Maybe it just looked the part.
So we've got to talk a little bit about the sets and the props. So let's start with the Munster Mansion. So the Munsters' home was a decaying Second Empire Victorian Gothic-style mansion on the Universal Studios backlot.
Huh. Sorry, there was a pause for laugh.
You're not supposed to tell them that. This is the stage direction. It was originally constructed with 2 other houses on Stage 12, the studio's largest soundstage, for the 1946 film So Goes My Love. After that film was completed, the sets were put in storage until 1950, where they were reassembled on a river road along the north edge of the backlot. In 1964, the house was redressed and distressed to become the Munster home, and a stone wall was added around the property. The interiors of the Munsters mansions were filmed on stages 30 and 32 at Universal Studios. The interior was riddled with dust, smoke, and cobwebs. As a running gag, parts of the house would often be damaged, mostly by Herman's tantrums or clumsiness, but then the damage would not last. It would just be totally fine the next episode, or even the next scene. After the Munsters, the house was used in 30 TV shows and movies by the mid-2000s.
Whoa.
In the 1970s, Universal replaced its entire front lot, and the Munster house was relocated to the back lot on Colonial Street. In the early 80s, the house was renovated again to become more modern. The most notable changes were the removal of the architectural details added for the Munsters, including the gingerbread gable over the second-story center window, and a replacement of the columns and railings of the window's walk tower. The original first-floor front porch was replaced with a larger wraparound porch. In the mid-2000s, for the second season of Desperate Housewives, the second floor was demolished and all of the remaining architectural details on the first floor were removed. A new second floor was constructed with a somewhat similar design, but it changed the original gable into a gambrel gable, which reflected a more Dutch colonial revival architectural style.
I can see that. But also, like, why are you just take it down and rebuild? Like, quit, like...
Yeah, they could have put it back in storage and built a new house, probably.
Yeah.
But I guess they decided they were never going to use a haunted house again.
Never is a
But
long
they used
time.
it in 30 other things before Desperate Housewives ruined it, so...
I do like the idea of, like, Desperate Housewives having a mansion from the Munsters in it. Not any mansion, but the mansion.
Mm-hmm. The Munsters is also famous for 2 very cool custom cars, but Gonzalo, you'll have to read both of these descriptions because I don't speak car and driver.
So the first one up is the Munster coach. In the 4th episode, Rockabye Munster, Lily buys a hot rod and a hearse from a used car dealership and has them customized into one car as Herman's birthday present. The Munsters producers contracted George Barris, who designed lots of custom cars for Hollywood, to provide the coach. And the Munster coach appeared in over 20 episodes throughout the series' 2-year run, and was also seen in Munster Go Home using different wheels. Only one coach was made for the TV series and the feature film, and it was actually made from 3 Ford Model T bodies and is 18 feet long. The 133-inch frame was made by hand, as were the brass radiator and fenders. It's got blood red interior seats and black pearl paint on the outside. It took 500 hours to hand-form the ornate rolled steel scrollwork, and the front end had a dropped axle, split radius rods, and springs. The design featured a custom hearse body. We also have Dragula. I don't know why I said it like that. But in episode
I don't
30,
know why they spell it with like a hyphens, except for that it's on the sign in the front.
Because it's a drag car.
Because it's like a drag...
It's a drag car.
Racer, but Dracula, but it's Dragula. I would have just put one hyphen between drag and Eula.
But then it'd be Dragula.
Yeah, this is better, you're right.
Everyone is 654. In episode 36, Hot Rod Herman, Grandpa built another iconic spooky car, the coffin car called Dragula. The fiberglass body of Dragula was built from a real fiberglass coffin. Famous custom car designer Richard Corks bought the coffin from a funeral home in North Hollywood. And in an interview in 2013, Corks admitted that it was illegal to sell a coffin without a death certificate, so Corky made a deal with the funeral director, paid in cash, and it was agreed that the coffin would be left outside the back door of the funeral parlor so he, Barris, and crew could collect it after dark. And that's my favorite fun fact of the podcast.
Isn't that the best?
Yes. So Dracula featured a 350 horsepower, 289 cubic inch Ford Mustang V8 engine. It had 4 two-barrel carburetors mounted on a Mickey Thompson Ram Thirst manifold. The rear tires were 10.5-inch Firestone racing slicks mounted on custom 10-inch Raider aluminum steel wheels. And the front tires were 4-inch Italian tires on Speed Sport English buggy wire wheels. To extend the Gothic motif further, Barris installed 4 zombie-style organ pipes on each side of the car in lieu of standard exhaust pipe, and mounted antique lamps on the front and the rear. Dracula spent the rest of his life traveling around various museums and displays, and is currently on display in the Hollywood Star Cars Museum in Glenburg, Tennessee.
It's a cool looking car.
It is very cool. I love the organ pipes on the side.
It really was a nice touch.
Yeah. I do appreciate the fact that the Dracula has the name written on the front in like a license plate format, but instead of a license plate, it's a tombstone.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And I also really love that they made these 2 functioning cars. I feel like these days they wouldn't have made them
function.
Yeah, like they would just pull them with a rope off screen or something, or whatever movie magic they would do.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think so too. But speaking of what we do now, how about some reboots and sequels?
That is an excellent transition, thank you. So we mentioned earlier that there were Munsters reboots after the mid-century, and there were actually a ton of them. So here's a quick summary of them all. In October 27, 1973, the Mini Munsters premiered on ABC's Saturday Superstar movie. It's a cartoon version of the Munsters. Al Lewis supplied the voice of Grandpa. February 27, 1981, The Munsters Revenge airs. It's a TV movie with Fred Gwynne, Al Lewis, Yvonne DiCarlo, but then Joe McDonnell as Marilyn and Casey Martell as Eddie. Fall of 1988, The Munsters Today TV series premieres, and this was the first attempt at a live-action TV reboot. It's based on the original series and stars John Schuck as Herman, Lee Merriweather as Lily, Howard Morton as Grandpa, Hilary Van Dyke as Marilyn, and Jason Marsden as Eddie. The show ran from 1988 to 1991. So on October 31st, 1995, Here Comes the Munsters came out. It was a made-for-TV movie/Halloween special. And 1 year later, The Munsters' Scary Little Christmas came out, and this was a TV movie set during the Christmas holiday. And then there's nothing until 2012 when we get another attempt to reboot the series with Mockingbird Lane. Brian Fuller, the genius behind Pushing Daisies and Hannibal, tried to reboot the Munsters for the modern age, making them sexier, scarier, and more stylish while still keeping the humor of the original show. Unfortunately, NBC did not pick up the series, but they ended up airing the pilot as a TV special. And Eddie Izzard plays Grandpa.
That's pretty cool.
And then lastly, we get The Munsters in 2022. This is Rob Zombie's attempt to revamp The Munsters, and it got mixed reviews from critics and only had a 55% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 4.5 rating on IMDb. And I did not watch this because I heard it was bad, but I did appreciate it existing because it made the Munsters theme song go viral on Instagram as trending audio, which came in handy for Halloween season that year.
To tag on to your theme song being popular thing, the fact that Fall Out Boy had it in one of their songs is like my favorite thing.
Oh yeah, I did read that fun fact and decided not to include it because I don't like Fall Out Boy.
I love Fall Out Boy. I've seen him in concert and it makes me feel like I'm in high school every time I listen to him. My students make fun of me for it, but hey, they make fun of me for everything else.
Yeah, maybe I should have. I was like, oh, who listens to Fall Out Boy? But apparently it was culturally significant that they sampled the theme song for a song.
Also,
Oops.
I listened to him.
Sorry.
But while I'm at it, if you guys want to stream any of these, so the Munsters themselves, the original, the OG from 1964 and onward, you can find them in different places. They're on Roku channel for free via Roku, but they're also on Amazon Prime and also on Peacock. You can watch some of the sequels. Not all of them are available or as easily findable. Is that a word?
Yes.
But you can watch The Munsters Today for free on archive.org and on Plex. All 72 episodes are available through both these services. You can stream the 1973 TV special The Mini Munsters for free on Tubi. The pilot episode of Mockingbird Lane can be found on Google Play, on Plex, and on Fandango at home as well. Allegedly for free.
But if watching all these reboots isn't enough Munsters for you, you can actually go visit a life-size replica of the Munsters Mansion in Waxahachie, Texas. But it's actually a private residence hand-built to be a replica of the Munsters Mansion, inside and out. Tours are by appointment only because people live there, and they start at just a mere $120. But that does cover up to 4 guests. They also host a monthly murder mystery dinner, but they do not advertise the price for that on their website.
That's cool.
That
Also,
sounds like the most fun, but if tours are 120 and they don't even tell you how much the murder mystery dinner costs.
it's going to be an arm and a leg.
Yeah, and apparently there's a wait list. You have to email and say that you're interested, and then they email you when they have a seat open at the murder mystery dinner. So it's a very big deal. But good for them. What a great way to make a living.
Waxahachie also has a really cool courthouse.
Does
in the
it?
1870s, yeah.
But that is it for the Munsters today. And this is normally when we'd have our etiquette segment, but for our spooky October episodes, instead of including an etiquette segment at the end of each episode, we like to recommend a bit of spooky media to get you into the holiday spirit. So, Gonzalo, what recommendation do you have for us today?
Okay, so I don't have any mid-century media specific. I do have a spooky media because I don't know why. Maybe it's because of the season, but I was like inspired to watch American Horror Story the other day, and I've been watching it by 15-minute intervals during lunch at work. But I've been watching
That's
the
a
third
great way
season.
to watch horror content. Nothing to get you too spooked in 15 minutes.
I've been watching the third season, Coven, and I think this is why I was inspired, because I was supposed to talk about New Orleans in our next episode, and Coven is set in New Orleans. So anyway, that's probably it. But I'm sure we can find some mid-century stuff in there. At least the house from the first season is pretty cool.
How do you like it? That's Lady Gaga was in that season, right?
Nope. That's Hotel.
Which season was she in?
Hotel. Season 5, I think.
Wow.
I stopped watching after the what's it called? There's one where they're like side show attractions.
Oh, yeah.
That one was good, but that was the last one I watched until I watched season, I think, 8, when it's like an apocalypse thing, and like all the previous seasons are connected.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I appreciate it. I love the idea of it just being like a different concept every season, but it seems too spooky for me. Though I feel like I could probably handle Coven.
Watch Coven. Yeah, you can. There's nothing like too scary. Like there's a couple of jump scares, but really it's more like psychological. But it's really cool because you get like the fight of the witches versus the voodoo queen.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, I highly recommend.
Well, thank you for that spooky recommendation.
But with that, it looks like we have finally stopped the Monster Coach. Thank you guys all for listening today. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to the show and tell a friend.
You can also follow us on YouTube and Instagram at MCL Podcast. Instagram is the best place to send us feedback and episode suggestions. Send us a DM anytime. You can also contact us through the Send Us a Text Message feature in the show notes.
Yeah, so go send us some fan mail. Make it spooky because it's a season. Thanks for listening, guys, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Bye!
Thank you for listening to Mid-Century Living. Please subscribe, tell your friends, and leave a review. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also follow us on Instagram at MCL Podcast. See you next Friday.
Thank you for listening to Mid-Century Living. Please subscribe, tell your friends, and leave a review. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also follow us on Instagram at MCL Podcast. See you next Friday.